Hey all, welcome to this week's Midlife Girl Chat. How are you all doing today? How's your week going so far? I had quite a Monday morning, so we're glad it's Monday evening and I get to be on here with you all and get to just chat with you. Since I didn't have anybody planned for this week to be on with me, I thought I would do 5 menopause myths and talk about them and why they're a myth and what's really the real scoop, right? And if you're on here live with me and you have questions, throw those questions in there. If I can't get you the answer today, I will try to find that answer and get back to you, because I know this is a time going through this whole menopause journey is rough, right? And there's so many things that we don't know. And so that's what we're here for, okay? So my first one myth is menopause is just a phase that women have to endure and move on from. Heck no. So this is just saying that this is a temporary inconvenience and we'll be done with it in a little bit, right? So there's a whole lot more when we think of menopause. And I know, when I was going through it, I thought of, I'm having hot flashes, so I'm in menopause, right? Wrong. There's a whole journey to get from like your childbearing years to menopause. And menopause is the day that you've gone 12 months without a period. And that day is the day you are now officially menopausal. And then tomorrow it will be postmenopause. But that journey, getting to that point, is called perimenopause. And that starts long before we even really have those big symptoms. When you're starting to really get into the hot flashes and some of those things that we know, menopause, that's when you're almost to that point of being menopause, postmenopausal. But there are so many things happening up to that point. So typically, perimenopause starts early to mid 40-ish. You can start earlier, you can start a little later, and the perimenopause journey lasts about 7 to 10 years-ish. Remember, this is just general. And then the average age of menopause is 51 to 52 years old. So during that time, there are so many different things that are happening to you that you don't even know are related to changes in your hormones that are happening. And so menopause is just not a thing and then we're done and over with it. And for some women, some of these symptoms can be very debilitating to them, and they need more help than just trying to survive through it. And I know we get told, that's fine. You'll get through it. It's okay. That's just natural. It's a part of life. Well, there are things that we can do to help ourselves through this. So I'll talk about that in a little bit here too, right? Or at least one of those things. So women can actually, some women have hot flashes for years and years and years, even postmenopausal. So it's just, some of it has to do with your lifestyle, what you're eating, or drinking. Some of it is hereditary. So there's no real, I don't want to say real answer, but there's just things that you can do to try to take care of that. Okay. Myth. I cannot get this out right tonight. Menopause myth number 2. Menopause causes us weight gain. So it doesn't. what happens when the estrogen starts going down? So I get a little sciencey here. Perimenopause, when perimenopause starts, I guess I didn't kind of really finish that over with the first myth. Perimenopause is what is happening is your progesterone, estrogen are beginning to decline. We're starting to run out of those little eggs there. And that's what's happening in that process of this whole perimenopause journey. So as we age and slow down, our metabolism slows down, so that can cause weight gain. But menopause itself does not cause weight gain. As that estrogen is declining, the fat stores shift from our hips, from our baby bearing, hips over to our belly, into this belly fat, which is not always the safest fat for us. But it's not that the menopause did it to you. The hormones just shifted where your fat is being stored. But we tend to, just slow down a little bit there in our middle ages, and our metabolism slows down a little bit. So it's a matter of like keeping that light. I shouldn't sit here because the window is right there, so everything distracts me. So doing those good lifestyle habits and, starting them as early as you can, even in your 20s, because I know in your 20s, we're like, yeah, right? It will be okay. Well, then we get to the 40s and 50s, and then we're like, oops. Anyways, so even in your 30s, trying to start really working on some good lifestyle habits, attaining a nice healthy weight, if possible, or just being active to support it, right? So yeah, if you're doing that, I got lost here in my thoughts, sorry. If you're doing that, then that weight gain should not be as dramatic, right? Okay, menopause myth number 3. Women can lose interest in sex or become less sexually active. No, that's not true. There are changes, yes, in our libido. And yeah, you can lose some women actually, from things I've seen, some women say their sex life is even healthier in midlife. And you think about it, well, I guess in my 40s my kids were still growing up, but the kids are growing up, they're gone, they're out of the house. This is the time you can get to go back to being a little frisky around the house, right, without having kids or teenagers interrupting. It just may need to be done in a different way than when you were in your 20s and 30s. And, because our hormones are shifting, okay? So sometimes it takes longer to get there. Have a really good discussion with your partner and just be very open and honest and tell them what works and what doesn't work. And what worked in your 20s or in your 30s may not work as well as your 40s and your 50s. So, those hormone fluctuations are happening, and you may have those time. Plus, as the estrogen starts to decrease, we get that vaginal dryness, and that hurts and itches and stings. And so definitely talk to your doctor about that. Or, because there are things you can do to take care of that vaginal dryness and itching, because it's real. So just having an open and honest communication talk with your partner, and you'll find ways it's just going to be a different way of going about it. And I know, really, honestly, be open with men. I will say that, because a lot of men are just like, you don't want to have sex, then you don't love me. I lived with one of those. It's not just, that, but just to be open and honest and say, hey, this is what's going on with me, and give me time. And sometimes to just have that, oh, good glory, what do I want to say? Just intimacy time can help. And sometimes if things are going to happen that night, start planning ahead And because it just takes women a little longer in this later stage to get to that excitement stage, right? It takes a little more planning and a little more work. So kind of just looking into that. There's things out there for that too. So yeah, we may lose it, but we don't have to. And some women don't. I've heard women say that they have had the best sex of their life in their 40s and their 50s. So, okay. Well, this myth, menopause happens suddenly without warning. I kind of blew that one with talking about my first one, right? No, it doesn't happen suddenly. Like I said, there is that whole transition. Dang, how did I do that? Like, totally went off my way. So yeah, menopause does not just happen. It's just not there. There are all sorts of little warning signs or signals that things are going on, and things that you may not even know. Things that, I don't know, like arthritis. I'm trying to think, like, asthma getting worse, having more blood sugar issues. Dang, I can't think of all of them. There's like 70 or 80 like things out there that are little signals to you that you're going through this menopause change. And good Lord, because I'm on here with you, I can't come up with any of them, right? So, it's I don't know, and some people tell me, I just don't feel right. But you can't tell, because I'll go like, what do you mean? What doesn't feel right? And they just can't, I just don't feel right. And to me, I feel like I lost control of my body. Not that we have like always so much control, but I just lost control. Like things just got crazy. Or I just remember I loved gardening. I hate gardening now, but I loved it. That was my thing. In the summertime, I'd get home from work and we make dinner and we run outside and play in the gardens in the dirt all evening. And all of a sudden I hit a point where I just was like, I'm too tired to do this. Like, what is wrong? Like, why after dinner I prefer to just sit down in my little granny rocking chair. That's just part of it as we start losing that energy. Our sleep gets a little off, but then, you get those, and then irregular periods. You get the irregular periods. Periods can be closer together. Periods could be farther apart. They could be a slaughterhouse, or they could be really light. Or like I used to like to say at work when I have a bad finger poke, I have a murder scene. So you never know. It is. You just sometimes never know what you're going to get for your period. And I remember those days where they would just be gushers and they would flow so hard. And when it was like that, just the cramping was terrible. And I did not know that this was moving into that phase. And actually at one point I ended up having a uterine ablation because my periods were getting so bad. I can't believe how much money, I can't imagine how much money it costs nowadays for the amount of products I had to buy to use. So, like I said, perimenopause starts average mid 40-ish, and it can last about 7 to 10 years. It can be sooner, it could be later. And I remember having a friend who was like, I'm almost 60 and I'm still having my period. I thought, oh Lord, I don't know. And of course, I probably wasn't even at the point of, I lost my thought. At that menopause point, I was probably still going through it, but because I just didn't know it when it was, I forgot that. Anyways, so I would, almost 60. I can't imagine right now. I'm not quite 60, and I can't imagine still having periods. That one sucks. Okay, so my last myth, menopause myth number 5, and this is a biggie. Okay, I know when I started with the coaching, the menopause coaching, I was like, you got to do it natural. You can't use the hormones. The hormones are terrible. You don't want to do this. You know, the only way to do it is do it natural. And girls, hormone replacement therapy is out there, or hormone therapy, as they're really starting to call it now, is out there, and it's a good thing. Okay, I'm using it, and I tell you, I'm much happier and I'm much nicer. So way back, I think it was mid 80s, 70s, 80s, when they come out and said, no, the hormone therapy is terrible, it causes cancer, blah, 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 and went on and on about it. Well, research has been done since, and I watched a podcast, or listened to a podcast a couple weeks ago, and there were some things about the trials that they did with it, like, I think, did they say they did it on women who were more than 10 years post-menopause? They used a different type. So estrogen is like an umbrella term for several different estrogen hormones. So they were using one type, and it's not the type of estrogen that we need. We need estradiol. And then the progesterone that they were using was made from horse urine. So, so with the studies, there was a lot of flaws in that study. And so some of the things they came up with really aren't the real thing. And so they're doing more and more and more looking into it, and really finding that it is okay for us. And since they took away, or said it was terrible, that the hormone therapy was terrible, the incidence of Alzheimer's and dementia in women have increased significantly. The incidence of cardiovascular issues has increased significantly. So we know that really the estrogen has protective qualities for our brain. We have estrogen receptors in our brain. So we need that. It protects our cardiovascular system. So the incidence of heart attacks have increased significantly since they said, you know, nope, we're not going to use this anymore. It's very bone protective. So, you know, instead of getting to that point of osteoporosis, it can help protect your bone loss, help you from having bone loss. Plus, it can take away the hot flashes. It can help with the vaginal dryness. And so there's 3 different ways you can use estrogen. You can do an oral supplement, but really it's safer to do. I do a little patch. It's like a tiny little patch. It's about the size of a dime, and you put it on, and then 3 days later you change it and put a new patch on. And then if you have a uterus, you have to take progesterone. If you don't have the uterus, you don't need it. So, and it's a better form of progesterone too. And then you have a vaginal estrogen, so using that can help with, I mean, the patch has definitely helped with the dryness and the itching. But you can use the cream directly into the vaginal canal. That will help with that too. So it is I can't say perfectly safe, because nothing is perfectly safe, right? It does carry, a few increased chances of different things. What they really want is no more than 10 years post-menopause. So 10 years after your last, menopause, right? 12 months without a period, no more than 10 years after that. I've heard different things as far as how long you should stay on them. Some say just a few years. I don't know if this I printed out. printed out a couple of things here. Yeah, it says typically the right time to stop is 4 to 5 years because of concerns of potential increased risk for breast cancer. I know I follow one gynecologist, and she's like, I will die with my patch on. I will never give up my estrogen. It will be on me until I die. So, and of course, the longer they go, the longer they study, the more they know. Now, a lot of times doctors will go, here, use your birth control pills. Well, yeah, I guess if you're still having periods, you really need to protect yourself if you don't want to have a baby in your mid-40s. But as you get a little older, the doctors are like, keep using the birth control. Just remember, birth control is a synthetic hormone. And if you really think about it, look at the side effects of being on birth control. Like, yeah, look at those side effects and the things that causes too, versus what it is being on the hormone therapy. So there's a lot there, a lot to that, a lot I don't know, just kind of beginning to get into it. I just know that I've been a nicer person since I've been on it. There was a few things going as my body was like reabsorbing estrogen and getting estrogen built back up. Like I had a couple of days, like I went through, what do I want to say? Menopause in reverse in about 2 weeks. So things were a little rough for a couple weeks. I know I had 2 or 3 days like of intense hot flashes like I've never had them. But I started postmenopausally. So my body was at 0 for estrogen, so I was just building it back up. So things were kind of going a little honky wire there. If you're in the perimenopause period, it will be nice to kind of balance out your hormones. If you have those terrible, terrible hot flashes that are just not getting better, or they're debilitating, you can't deal with it, check into that. Check into having hormone therapy done. So here's the deal though. You want to find a gynecologist who is studied up, or, do your own research and take your research with you to your gynecologist. Many, many, many gynecologists, I have to say she's a nurse practitioner, very open to it. I mentioned it and we had a nice long discussion and we made the best choice for me. Many gynecologists are still in that thing of hormone replacement therapy is terrible. It's terrible. You don't do it. It's evil. So have your research available. I mean, more and more and more is coming up, and more gynecologists are out there educating. It's just going to take a while for everybody to catch up. And I know I have a friend who's just struggling so bad, and all she wants to do, because she's seen what's happened with me, she just wants to, and her gynecologist is like, no way, no, not going to do it. So you may get some pushbacks, but do your research, and if you need to, find a new gynecologist. I know that's a hard one to say, because my gynecologist that I had been with for 20 some years retired a couple years ago, and I was a little sad about that one. So if you do have questions on some of that hormone replacement therapy, hormone therapy, as they're calling it, there is the North American Menopause Society, NAMS, and they have a lot of good info on their website too. And they will help you. Even they have a directory of menopause friendly gynecologist. So anyways, that is my big thing today, those 5 menopause myths. And if you have questions, like after you've listened to this, while you're listening to it, and you have some really big questions, throw them in the comments, because other people may have those comments or questions. If you don't want to throw it in the comments, send me a DM, because sometimes we want those answers and we're struggling, you know. And what did I read? Like 15% of women cruise through menopause without issues. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But some women, I can't remember what the statistics were, like for some women, menopause is just very debilitating to them and they really need the help. So if you're looking for help and you really want to, you know, ask me questions and you don't want to throw it here, send me a DM. I'm like more than willing to help you out the best I can, because I know this is a struggle. Some days we just want to like hide in bed and not go anywhere. So thanks for listening in to my craziness today. And you all have a great week and let me know what you need. Bye.